Hi guys, I wanted to apologize for the audio in this video. I didn't know how to edit it in a way where one person wasn't ear-raping the entire audience, so yeah, the audio is going to be wacky. Sorry about that. Hi guys, I'm Celestial Dust and I'm here with my first video. Well, my first video on this channel. You see, about 4 years ago, I had another channel called Nothing to See Here Hi, and it was a bit cringe. You see, I used to be an anti-sjw reactionary who had questionable opinions and liked to express them. Of course, today I know better and I've been fully indoctrinated into becoming a Marxist, trans, disabled, two-spirit liberal. Though I thought it'd be funny to react to an old video of mine where I tell a trans woman she doesn't know anything about gender. Yay!
Internet, there's been a lot of discussion around genital preferences and transphobia. In this video, I'm going to use the word cissexism instead of
Oh! I've watched this video around 3 times now. The sex... The fact that... The fact that they made yet another new buzzword. Like... Wow. Sorry.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, cissexism still low-key sounds like a made-up word, but like, literally, who cares?
Sexism means prejudice or discrimination against transgender people. So what's been happening is that some people are making the argument that it's not cissexist at all to only be attracted to people with one kind of genitals. For example, these people might argue that being attracted to only women with vaginas in no way negatively affects trans people. On the other
So before we get into this more, I should specify my current opinions. I believe that there's nothing wrong with not wanting to date trans people, depending on your reasoning. Many people have gender preferences or desires to have children that most trans people can't fill. However, it's silly to pretend that the choice to not date trans people isn't somewhat informed by the anti-trans biases that exist in our society, which, sucks. But now on to the real stuff.
we all have our implicit biases built into our preferences, and gender...
Does it have to be more complicated than that, though? And, I know he said implicit.
Okay, wow. Like I said, this phase started a few years ago, which means that I've been able to block and suppress quite a lot of it. And I swear, I do not remember being transphobic enough to misgender her. And I think I did it throughout the whole video too, which is pretty sick.
argue that it's more complicated than that. We all have our implicit biases built into our preferences, and gender...
Does it have to be more complicated than that, though? And, I know he said implicit bias, but, like, the way he's framing this is as if, like, people are making a conscious decision to be attracted to the genitals that they are attracted to. When, in fact, it is not a conscious decision at all. It's, like, you can't control what you're attracted to. You just are.
She's not saying it's a conscious thing though, you're just choosing to interpret it that way because of all the dipshit losers you used to watch. Told you to take it that way. Riley's simply acknowledging the biases I mentioned earlier. Please calm down, she's not telling you to kill yourself or recommending mandatory trans partners. Like, please.
Again, while it is true that your gender and sex and gender are different, they are still intertwined very closely with each other. This is how I like to remember the separation between gender and sex. Well, both of them are being biological. Sex is down there, genitals, and gender is up here, brain.
Okay, that's the main thing I wanted to debunk. You see, my brain was systematically and brutally destroyed by Blair White, and you can really tell here. Gender and sex are two completely different things. Sex is biological and there are only two, and then it's determined via chromosomes. Gender, however, is a social construct invented by society in an attempt to group us into the categories of men and women, and this is done by the way that we're expected to express ourselves. For example, women having long hair and wearing pink, while men have short hair and wear blue. With any social construct, not everyone fits into them. For example, some women have pixie cuts, some men are kind of reeves. Furthermore, these constructs change Before World War II, blue was seen as a feminine colour. See, there's nothing in my brain that tells me to wear pink because XX chromosomes, but most of us conform to these expectations anyway because they happen to match with how we identify. Now, before I go on, I want to add a disclaimer that I am in fact not trans and I'm also very stupid. And there are loads of smarter people who can explain this way better than I can. But with that being said, for trans people, this isn't the case. Gender dysphoria arises when a gender they identify as doesn't currently match the current gender they're expressing. But this can be alleviated when they're able to be socially perceived as the gender they identify with, though through either social and or physical transition. You see, if gender was in the brain and biological, then why do social expectations for the genders change? Why do some societies have more than two genders? And why are some people non-binary? By taking the biological approach of gender, you can't really answer any of these questions.
Kind of framing gender as like social constructs. Like, I think he believes that gender is a social construct, and if he does, then this video trying to tell about trans people is actually quite transphobic if you think about it, because if you're saying that gender is a social construct, then trans people are just like essentially putting on dresses and saying, I am this gender because I say so. Like, Riley, that might be what you're doing because you probably don't have dysphoria, but
Okay, ignoring the fact that I've been using male pronouns the entire video, pretending your opponent is hypocritical is not a real argument, you moron. But reactionaries like to use this a lot because their ideology is not based in reality, so there are no good arguments. Despite knowing this though, it's still infuriating whenever I hear reactionaries do this. One thing I was really bad for in my reactionary phase was deciding that anyone who wasn't as passing as Blair White was totally a fake transgender, when there is literally no way you can tell through a screen. It's even more evident by how far Riley has gone in her transition since this video. I think I'm going to end it here because I can't stand myself anymore. It's only 5 minutes of a video, so if you also hate yourself and want to slowly but surely poison your brain, I'll link the full video in the description below. I'm thinking of making my next video about my journey to becoming a reactionary and how I got out. So if you want to see that, don't forget to like and comment on this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, follow my Twitter and Instagram, that would be really cool.